Welcome to the Substitute Orientation for 2018. This is Dan Wessel, the Assistant Superintendent of USD 469. First, I'd like to welcome you, and for a few introductions, our district office staff is Dr. Darrell Stuffelbein, Superintendent, myself, the Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Holly Becker, Assistant Superintendent, Mary Alice Schrager, she's our Special Education Director, Jan Zellner, Superintendent Secretary, Danielle Brandt, she's the Clerk of the Board, Christine Smith, our Bookkeeper, Martina Crisp is the Secretary, Heather Pratt serves as our Special Education Secretary, and new to the team this year, David Bresser, he's our Emergency Preparedness Coordinator. Some additional introductions at our building level. Tim Newton is our K-3 principal. Sue Anderson is our 4-5 principal. You notice that is a change from last year. We have split our K-5 into two buildings, with the 4-5 or intermediate school being in our old middle school at 509 Ida. Serving both of those buildings as an assistant principal this year is Mary Ann Hotaling. Carrie Brungart is our middle school principal. Our new high school principal, we'd like to welcome Rob McKim. And Dr. Ron Malcolm serves over at the School of New Beginnings and Early Childhood. Next, we'd like to highlight a few pages from our substitute handbook. For the entire handbook, you can find it at our website, usd469.net, under Employment and Substitute Information. Please make sure to look through your role as a substitute. Also inside of the handbook is contact information, hours, lunches, Christine Smith's contact information. She does most of the work with our subs. Daily schedules and responsibilities differ from building to building, so please remember to be flexible. There is some parking pieces inside of the sub handbook that you'll want to look at so you'll know where to report to in each of the buildings. An important part of this obviously is that we have payroll, and that's paid on the 15th of the month for the previous month. So for example, let's say you work on September 10th, you will not get paid on September 15th for that day. You will get paid October 15th for that day. We have changed our sub-calling program to Frontline sub-calling program. They purchased ASOP, and you really shouldn't see much of a change to that system. It just is called something different. If you have problems with Frontline, call Christine Smith at the district office, 913-727-1100. Not a lot of changes this year into the technology pieces for our substitute handbook. We're going to try really hard to make sure that substitutes have some sort of technology accessible to them when they log in, and that will vary by building depending on what type of technology is appropriate for the building, and our front office secretaries will be able to help you with that as you come in. The login for a substitute is the username is substitute and the password is teacher. Some very important information that we share with you and with teachers is to remind you that teachers should not leave login information for you. There are different ways than through Skyward for you to take attendance, and it is important that that teacher not leave their Skyward information login for you. We are going to work with teachers this incoming year about individual logins, so you'll have access to Google information if you're working at anywhere from 3rd through 12th grade, or through a login for you to have access to the files that you'll need for the day, so you will not need the teacher login. That information should be in each teacher subplans, as each teacher will have their own login for the substitute. Please note on your evaluation at the end of the day if that information is not there, so we can help the teacher make sure that you have everything that you need. The other piece of computer etiquette that I need to mention is the use of social media during the day and posting of information. You need to remember that we have many students throughout the school system that we do not have permission to post any information about them. So if you're in a classroom and you happen to take pictures of them and post on any of our social media sites, some of you use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and it might be a wonderful day and had a great day in the classroom. You need to be cognizant of the fact that some of the kids in those pictures might not have given us permission to use their image and or name in any sort of online publication, and that is definitely a problem for us, and it would be a problem for you. Computer problems, first thing is to ask a neighbor. We have some very good teachers on every grade level in the use of technology. If you continue to have problems or cannot get logged on, the best thing is to contact the main office and they'll get a hold of the technology staff as soon as possible. What you may expect from the school: we want to make sure that there is good office contact with the substitutes. Please report to the front office and to the substitute secretary. They will have your information for the day, and we try to make sure that all subs feel welcome as soon as they walk into the building. We have some evaluation forms. This year we're going to do those on Frontline. It's important to note on those Frontline forms is that the substitute experience report will be shared with the teacher, and the substitute teacher evaluation report filled out by the teacher will share with the substitute of that classroom. We feel it is extremely important for us to build a collaborative team between the teacher and the substitute, and the only way to do that is with open and honest communication. The substitute checklist that is sent out to the teachers at the beginning of the year. It includes all of the things that should be in their subplans. This checklist is included on the online substitute handbook. When you report to the school, we recommend that you report 20 minutes prior to school start time. That obviously changes quite a bit in the different buildings, and as soon as you get used to each of the buildings, they will make sure to tell you exactly when is the best time to be there. For example, at the high school, 20 minutes before might not get you a very good parking spot, and it might not get you into the classroom as all the kids are arriving in order for you to, they all drive out at the high school. Check in with the substitute secretary. Ask for special instructions for the day, if we have special schedules, events, etc. It's extremely important to reach out, introduce yourself to a neighboring teacher, and review day startup procedures for the building. Each of the buildings have a little bit different procedure as to where kids report, what kids do in that time before the school day starts. Getting the day underway. Before the kids arrive, review all the lesson plans. Make sure to contact the secretary for a hard copy of the student roster for attendance if it's not in the pamphlet that they handed you at the beginning. Maintain a pleasant atmosphere of the room. Remember, you are essentially a visitor for the day. Grading daily work only if directed, and it is organizing that work by subject or by hour, depending on how the teacher requests the information at the end of the day. It's important to keep the day underway and to assume the duties of the regular teacher. A large part of this has to do with safety throughout the entire school. We have students leaving on bus duty, playground supervision, fire and tornado drill supervision, before and after school supervision. At the older schools, especially middle school and high school, when kids are transitioning between classes, we need all the help we can get out in the hallways. and depending on the school and depending on the teacher's schedule, lunch or breakfast room supervision. And all of that information should also be in the teacher plans left for you for the day. A few hints for successful classroom management. An initial impact and presence in the classroom is important. It is important to be the one in charge, but not be extremely bossy about being the one in charge. Remember, most of the students, especially older students, have a routine that is built for each of those classrooms, and you will not change what that is in one day. And that's important to remember. It's important to have self-confidence, self-knowledge, resiliency, initiative, and resourcefulness. There will be many days that the teacher's best laid plans are not going to go as they thought, and definitely not the way that you thought. Greet students at the door for the middle school and high school. If you know some of them, call them by name, ask them how it's going, and they will feel like you belong when you do that. Start on time and be pleasant. Introduce yourself and write your name on the board so they know how to pronounce your name and so they don't forget who you are throughout the day. Smile, be friendly, and show enthusiasm for spending the day with our students. You will find that students are more than willing to share the great things that happen in each of their classrooms. All you have to do is ask. Follow up on that, show an interest in the room. If you see things on the board that have been posted about projects or activities, ask the students to explain them to you, and you'll see their eyes light up and they are extremely excited about learning. Engage the students, be kind to and about students, and please remember that when you're addressing one student, it is best to do that in private if at all possible, and so it does not become a confrontation. Remain calm and relaxed and ask for help if needed. You will find at the middle school and high school especially, an emotion or lack thereof is usually the best bet. If they don't feel like they've gotten a rise out of you, you'll find that your day will go much better. It's important in the classroom, as we mentioned before, that you are a visitor in essence to the classroom. Pay attention to posted or written discipline expectations of the teacher. Deal with individual students when problems occur, not the entire group. Do not use belittling language or intimidation, but do handle situations as they occur. What you are willing to accept is what the students are willing to give you, and that's an extremely important part. Use of hallway for activities and discipline are frowned upon. I'd really like you to think about the fact that if you send a student out in the hallway and especially for discipline, and they are gone, they might not stay out in the hallway, and that is not a feeling that any of us would like to have. Sending students to the office, make sure that you understand the procedure for that. Realize that if you send a student to the office, you need to call the office and make sure that they know that they're coming if it's an older student. And if it's a younger student, it's probably best to have an escort for that student to the office. Confidentiality is a huge piece of the things that we deal with in the educational world. Be professional. Remember that you do have a license to practice substitute teaching. Ethics, comments about the teacher, classroom, and school. It's extremely important, and we have cases every year of substitutes that we get to deal with, and that share information about students outside of the school walls that they should not share. And that is something that I'd just like you to think for a second about yourself as a parent, and if someone was talking about your child in a situation that it should be a confidential situation, possibly about their behavior, possibly about their academic progress, and how that would make you feel. FERPA is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. The law applies to all schools that receive funds, so that is us. And also we have the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, that we are bound by, because there are students with some health issues in our schools that we need to be extremely confidential about. Some areas of concern that we have run across throughout the years as substitute teachers is divulgence of confidential information. Like I said earlier, that could be about students, that could be about students' families. Sometimes there are issues with other brothers and sisters that substitutes have gained information about, and that is something that we need to make sure that we keep confidential. And please remember that teachers deserve some confidentiality also. Let's say they've been gone for a while, possibly for health concerns, possibly for whatever the reason is that they are gone. And that is information that really shouldn't be shared outside of the school walls. Leaving the premises of the assigned school without express permission of the principal. There are times that they will need to get a hold of you. Let's say you're working at the elementary school. They'll need to get a hold of you to ask where the kids are, or you dropped them off at PE or music, and they will need to get a hold of you for some information. If you leave and they don't know where you're at, that becomes an extreme problem for us. At the other schools, it's important to remember that you might be asked to cover a class during the teacher's plan period, especially at the high school. High school uses a lot of coverage, especially in the spring, as they have a lot of coaches out during the school day. Utilizing the classroom computer for personal use, though that's when you're there to teach and you're there to supervise students. And if you're on the classroom computer or on your phone during those days, during that time, that becomes very difficult. Use of alcohol and drugs, I wish I was making that piece up, but we have had instances where we've had teachers or substitute teachers that have snuck alcohol in, and obviously that's a bad idea. Lastly is the area of security. Make sure that the door is shut behind you. Make sure that you have information that you need to fill in as a security officer for that classroom. To renew your license, we do offer substitute professional development, and you can use the Lansing School District PDP system, PDP Toolbox, to track PD points for license renewal. That website is www.pdptoolbox.org. This includes points for college credits that you take. You have to run those through a local school district in order to submit your renewal. You're always welcome to attend our professional development in the buildings. The best bet on that is to contact principals for schedules for information that might be pertinent to you. This year, a few things that are going on. We have a new math series that we'll be training on. We'll continue to train on social emotional learning throughout the school district. All wonderful opportunities for you to stay involved in our school district. And please remember to include online trainings, including this training, as professional development points. More than likely, you'll gain enough professional development points through Infinitec and through this and through attending our own in order to renew your license, that you won't have to spend any money out of pocket. If you have any questions about the PDP Toolbox, contact myself at dan.wessel@usd469.net. A few areas of concern, as we mentioned, divulgence of confidential information about students, families, teachers. Even it could go down to why you're there substitute teaching. Maybe a teacher is having a medical procedure, and that deserves to be, and you find that information out because you're in the buildings. That information deserves to be confidential. Leaving the premises of the assigned school without permission. We've had that happen as a sub. Sub went to lunch about 11:30, didn't tell anybody where he was going, showed back up around 2. which he missed 2 hours of classroom instruction with kids. This is obviously an issue. Utilizing a classroom computer for personal use. You're there to work with our students to help them and to work through that lesson plan with the day. And if you're sitting down on the computer doing your own thing, that tends to be a problem. It should go without being said about alcohol and drug use, but we have had some of that as substitutes have been in the building. And then lastly, security of our buildings. If you go out the door, especially an outside door, make sure the door gets locked, as that's our first line of defense. If you happen to have any questions about substituting in the Lansing School District, please don't hesitate to call me at 913-727-1100 and ask for Dan, or you can email me at dan.wessel@usd469.net. Thank you for substituting in Lansing School Districts. We're looking forward to a wonderful year.